But in the end, what you see an invitation to read your paper, but you're not saying everything should be inside the paper. So for this reason, today we are very lucky having Professor Carel from the English school, and he will teach us how to write the perfect abstract.
We're going to think of an abstract in very basic terms having 4 parts. So can anyone tell me any of the 4 parts in any order that you think are part of an abstract? Yeah?
Motivation.
Okay, so I'm going to make this one section for us today. What else is part of this?
Summaries.
So I'm going to put words up because they're all helpful. An abstract is a summary. It's not an introduction, right? Mm-hmm. Kelly's probably told you that. The biggest error is you make it an introduction rather than a summary. So what else is part of the first? Yeah.
Findings.
Yeah. So that's another section.
On motivation, you can add problems. What's the
Yeah. So we're often looking at a problem. So I'm just bringing in words. And these are keys that trigger your brain, right? You're looking to access this information quickly. It should be stored in your brain like a Google search and you find it, right? What do I need to do? Yeah?
Approach.
So approach, so that's actually number 3, right? So approach is number 2. So I'm just putting them in order as we go. So
Solution should be there too. Solution.
So are there solutions in
Problems.
a typical research paper? Are there solutions?
Resolution.
What are you doing at the end typically?
Assumption.
No. What are you?
implication?
Implication. So there are many words that, if you look how to write an abstract, people talk about many parts. There's many words. You know, another word that you could put here is clearly this, right? You know, something that's telling us. So motivation is key. Approach. What's another word for approach?
Methodology.
Methodology, right? So what I'm telling you is, what's another word for findings? Results, right? What's another word for implications?
Conclusion.
Right, so you know this information. The difficulty is the synthesis. Remember, that's the other thing. I'm trying to help you with strategies. If you want to remember something and you want to engage with it because it's important for you, then you should take notes. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, but it's about your commitment to something. It has nothing to do with me. I can talk to you all day about all types of things. I like to do that sometimes, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to facilitate, help you to improve how you need to write, and for you to feel concerned about it. Because if you're not concerned about it, if it's not a problem, you're not going to fix it. So that's it. And I have no idea how well your abstracts are. I'm just talking to you as a group. So if you're a perfect abstract writer, wonderful. Yeah, I'm just here to help you improve it. But I find it's helpful to have steps. So I found something that just talks about 10 steps that you should follow when you want to write an abstract. Because you have to do your abstract when? When are you writing your abstract? Right, when your paper is finished. Yeah? And your introduction and conclusion should also be very helpful. If you've written a good introduction, a good conclusion, those should help you. But you have to synthesize the whole research paper in a paragraph of 150 to 300 words. And I will tell you that's difficult for a native speaker. Summarizing is not a skill like that. And that's the problem with the abstract, is learning to summarize is a lot of work. Native, non-native speaker alike. It's a mental process, and the more you do it, the better you get. That's it. There's no trick. The more you do it, the better you get. So that's it. You can read that for yourself. The different aspects, we've already identified them. You've identified them for me. Those 4 parts. You know, you look at your abstract, do I have typically those 4 parts in it? Some papers are going to be slightly different in design, but in most cases, you're going to be asked to identify a research question, a problem, and you're going to move forward through a methodology approach, whatever that might be, move towards finding results and implications. So it's not always that way, but that's the abstract. So, this is my 10-step because, having been in the military, they always like checklists and step-by-step processes. So I still haven't let go of that after who knows how many years. Because that's how to avoid a problem. So I was in the Air Force, and when you're starting up an aircraft or you're in the middle of emergency, you are told to go to your checklist because you're all anxious and nervous. So you think about yourself. You're writing your paper maybe 2 days before it's due. You're all anxious and nervous. You're exactly in that state, and what's going to happen is you're going to flow out of what you need to do. So the easiest way to ground yourself when you're emotionally overloaded or stressed is to use a checklist. That's what I learned. Just use a checklist and just follow the procedure. And once you establish a checklist, then you can modify it, can't you, for your own liking. So you can see there are 5 steps on this page, 5 on the next. So remember, as you said already, after you finish your paper, you start writing your abstract. Pick out the major objectives, hypotheses, and conclusions from your introduction and conclusion. What did you decide in the end that was important? And remember, as Michele was describing, not everything is important to you. What's important to you is what's important to you, right? When you're going, critiquing a book, you're not critiquing the whole book. You're critiquing what you think is valuable to critique. And so there's always a personal element in that. Select key sentences and phrases from your methods section. So if you've written your methods section well, you don't just jump in, do you? You introduce it, you talk about it. There may be a sentence or two that you could just pull out and put on a piece of paper that is a good sort of initial description of the methodology and approach that you've taken. Identify the major results. And you're not needing to talk about every single result, right? You're not talking about your approach in detail. That's going to come in the paper. But abstract is what people read. Hopefully one day you get published. And that's what people read, is the abstract. And if they don't like the abstract, they won't continue reading, will they? Maybe they want to use your paper for research they're doing, your dissertation, whatever, and then the abstract is where they go. It is really, really important, an abstract, to be clear. It's like your resume. It means it's a window into something, which is key. And then you want to try to arrange these sentences. So you're pulling sentences out, and you can do that so easily electronically. You just electronically pull sentences out and just put it on an abstract page. It's like a puzzle, and you start playing with it and see how it all works. If you do it that way, you're not going to leave out anything. Very methodically move through the results and then the conclusion and try to put it together. And these are some faux pas, some things you don't want to do. Don't talk about People always don't talk about anything new, and that's true for the conclusion as well. Don't introduce something brand new that you haven't talked about through the whole paper. You sometimes say, wow, that's a great idea. It's just come to me. I want to share my great idea because I want to show how intelligent I am. Well, you don't want to jump in with a new idea. And clearly, the abstract's being written after everything. You think, oh my God, I should have included this in my research paper. Maybe I can tell my professor, this is what I intended. But you can't, right? You are writing an abstract of what you've done. Undefined abbreviations or group names. You don't want to have anything vague in your abstract. It's your abstract, isn't it? A discussion of previous literature, a reference citations, generally not in your abstract, right? It's your summary. And unnecessary details about methods and approaches. If you're using an approach, you don't want to keep going with it. And all of these skills are useful in anything you do, whether you're doing a presentation or writing an essay. Remove all the extra information, try to coalesce it down. You want to be concise, clear, and to the point. And if you can do that well in an abstract, you can do it well anywhere. It's much easier, as I've said to people in 501, to work with a paragraph and do better with that. And once you have done that well, then you can expand it into an essay. Start small. When I'm doing writing workshops, I start at the sentence level already. Consistency, that there's connectedness between the ideas, and ask somebody to look at it. Ask somebody to look at your abstract, to read it for you, or send it on to a writing coach. Yeah, it's through the lens. So if you're deciding that Maslow's hierarchy of needs is something that you feel is valuable, then it's through that lens that you're assessing. It's like a lens on a camera. You are making a choice. You're using a particular way of thinking, a particular paradigm to understand an idea. It makes a big difference. You know, if you think about your belief structure, it makes a big difference what you believe. Are you a Darwinist? And we were born and that's it, we're just matter? Or are you a creationist and you think? The paradigm where you come from clearly is important, isn't it? You make a choice on your methodology according to your own perspective and what you think will be the most valuable tool. But if it's laid out for you like the Gibbs, then it's clear, isn't it? That's your approach of methodology, and you better use that and use every step that they're telling you to use as part of your research paper.